T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T minus 5 minutes. T minus 4 minutes. T minus 3 minutes. T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing on this beautiful Friday afternoon in March? That's right. We're not supposed to be here right now, but I felt compelled to jump on and say hello to all the fans, say hello to everybody out there as we head towards our big doubleheader Friday night watch party, SmackDown and Rampage tonight. But breaking news has hit, and personally, my absolute favorite wrestler from my time growing up watching wrestling in all these years, my absolute favorite to ever step in the ring was the one, the only Triple H. And he sat down with Stephen A. Smith and ESPN and let the world know that he is retired from in-ring competition. He is done. The game is over, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for some of us, it might not be the biggest surprise, of course. It was widely publicized that Triple H recently had a cardiac event and that his health wasn't that great. He hadn't had any on-screen interviews since that cardiac event until today. Now, based on what I've seen on social media while I was preparing to jump on here today, I mean, the outpouring already has been huge. Everybody's reporting it. It is widespread. It's not just wrestling coverage. It's ESPN. It's sports channels. It's across the board and around the world, folks. So I felt compelled as a huge Triple H fan and as, a representative of the Wrestling for Life Network to just come on here and chat. I'm not sure what you guys are doing. Maybe some of you are still at work. Maybe some of you are at home. Maybe some of you are playing hooky. But we're just going to sit around. I'm going to go over the story. We're going to talk about the interview and what Paul Levesque had to say to the world. But essentially, as I just mentioned, Triple H has retired from in-ring competition. And obviously, the cardiac episode, which was brought on by the onset of pneumonia. Hey, life just got a little bit cooler. Sorry, completely distracted, but you'll see why in a second, I hope. But Triple H explained that he got a viral pneumonia and it led to horrible complications, and now he has a defibrillator in his chest, and he feels like the last thing he should be doing is getting zapped on TV. So,
hello.
Hello.
I was getting ready for the news, and all of a sudden I heard this was happening. Jeez.
Right, things happen fast around here. How are you, LJ?
I'm okay, but I'm very surprised by the news.
Absolutely.
How so? I didn't know you could get a defibrillator in your chest.
Yeah, so
that's a new one for me. I didn't know that was real.
It's similar to like a pacemaker. It has the ability, like if your heart kind of stops doing what it's supposed to be doing, they can give it a little zap, and it, hey buddy, wake up, keep going, keep beating. Thankfully,
hey buddy, wake up.
Yeah, right. But thankfully for Triple H at this point, I mean, he had the scare, he recovered, he seems to be doing well. Obviously, he stepped back from the wrestling operations. He stepped back from anything on screen. We haven't seen or heard from him very much since it happened. And then out of nowhere, the tweet came out that, he was going to be sitting down with Stephen A. Smith and break his silence about his health. And a lot of us speculated that it might be that, but I was minding my own business on a Friday afternoon, and next thing, things blew up. So, like I said, LJ, he was one of my favorites ever, period. I mean, coming up through that time and when he became the Game and everything else, it was unbelievable. and he was such a good bad guy. He was also a good baby face. He was a way better heel, in my humble opinion. But even when he was a baby face, he was quick, he was sarcastic, he was witty, and he really has a brain for the wrestling world. And we've seen that with NXT.
I agree. There's a lot of people who loved him. I was a big fan of his, and he created DX. How do you not be a fan of him when you're a fan of wrestling? So
Right.
I just I hope he's doing okay, and like he's okay with this decision. It's not something that's like, oh God, now I have to do this. It's something that he decided. I hope it's something he decided.
Well, I mean, it does feel like, obviously, with the heart issues, whether he wanted to come back or not, was kind of taken away from him. So, but at the same time, I'm sure he can look back on an amazing career, a phenomenal career, a Hall of Fame career, and realize that he's accomplished everything he can. He's got children at home, and his health comes first. You got to be around. You got to be able to take care of your family and your loved ones, and do what you need to do. So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, he had pretty much stepped away. Maybe we got one or two more matches, but realistically, we weren't. I don't think we're going to see him much anyway.
Well, what was the last time we did see him? What was the last match he had? Because I don't remember.
You know what? That's a phenomenal question. I was just looking at it, but he came back when he won the Rumble. Let me see. See if I can verify that.
Yeah,
January 11th, 2020. January 11th, 2021.
Okay. Okay, so last year, almost 2 years ago, because in January.
At WrestleMania 35, he defeated Batista. He also participated in Raw against Randy Orton on January 11th. Sorry, that's not accurate. Last match. Let's see. Triple H's last match. Yeah, give me a second on that, but I can't confirm it 100% right now. But I'm trying to. It's funny because you jump on here in a moment's notice, but he did come back in 2020. I'm just trying to remember
Frightful has actually answered this question. Triple H's last official match was in 2019 when he teamed with Shinsuke Nakamura against Robert Roode and Samoa Joe in Japan. His last televised match was at WWE Super Showdown 2019 against Randy Orton, and he retires as a 14-time WWE champion.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him get to 18, 20. But I mean, obviously, he's been through a lot. He's been through major injuries. We watched his, through his career, the things he's gone through and the ups and downs, like most wrestlers do. But then we saw him persevere, and we saw him win title after title. He had IC belts. It's a crazy long, successful career. And then, of course, he transitions into, an executive, starts putting on the suit. And I felt like for a long time, every week, there was a new picture of some budding star that there's Triple H shaking hands with them and, hooking them up with their NXT starter kit. And all the talent that passed through NXT that he had a hand in or that were grateful for his presence. It's insane. So
there's so many. Like, NXT would have not been as successful as it was without him there. And I just, there's going to be so many people that are just going to be heartbroken that he's unfortunately has the health condition that he has to have to step away. So, it's just going to be, it's not the best news for a Friday, but I do hope he's okay. And in the article, it also says he does have 3 daughters. So he's definitely putting family first, which you should. So
100%. I mean, that's you want to be around as long as you possibly can for your children. And so, I completely get that. And I mean, once you have a defibrillator, if you have a machine in your chest that keeps your heart pumping, taking bumps is probably far. You don't even
Yeah.
want to step down the last couple steps when you misread them.
Yeah, that's something that you should just really just go home, sit down, chill out.
Mhm.
Don't do any strenuous activity that's out of the
That's it.
normal.
Retire, put your
Walk a
feet up.
little bit, retire, get a hobby. Get a
Yep.
hobby.
He had a hobby. They took it away from him.
Oh yeah.
Um, he detailed, it started with a bout of viral pneumonia, which led to him coughing up blood and the doctors finding fluid in his lungs.
I've
And
had pneumonia, but definitely not that bad. Mine was like a tiny, tiny bit that like amoxicillin could get rid of. Like it was tiny compared to that. That is horrible. I was not coughing up blood. Like but I am aware as soon as that happens, you go immediately to the hospital. Like that
well,
happens, red flag, go.
two years ago, a couple months after we all kind of got locked down, it was just a random. It was like June. It would have been June. 2 years ago, so June 2020. So Saturday night comes and goes, everything's fine, normal day. And then all of a sudden I started feeling sick, like shivers, cold, da da da. But by the time overnight happens, I'm really sick. But well, of course, we're in the middle of the pandemic. So I go and I get a COVID test, negative. Okay, I'm just going to rest on the
That was
couch.
probably at least a little relieving when it was negative.
Well, yes and no, because now I get severely sick for the next few days to the point where I was coughing up blood, similar to what he's describing, severely sick. Take another COVID test, negative. But when I went for the second COVID test, the doctor there, the supervising doctor, was like, "You need to go to the hospital immediately." I got in, literally started running my vitals, and I was asked, like, the doctor looks at me and goes, "You walked through these doors?" I said, "Yeah," and he was like, "That's crazy." So instantly, I was put on a whole bunch of stuff, and I was tested for just about everything you can ever think of, every possible. They couldn't figure out. Basically, my lungs had turned to cardboard, and I had bilateral pneumonia in both. So both lungs were
So it was like hopping back and forth.
no, it was sitting in both at the same time, just filling up both. And essentially, what it ended up being was a bacterial infection called Legionnaires, and it's generally reserved for elderly people. So it was kind of a fluke that I caught it, inhaled.
Yeah,
It's from dirty water, so we weren't quite sure, like an HVAC or like a hot tub, but I couldn't figure out where I had been near anything like that. But regardless, it debilitates you. It takes you down. You can't breathe. When you can't breathe, you can't do anything.
It's so weird how the tiniest germs can the tiniest germs for bacteria can just shut a human completely down.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And like moments like this, which he describes, and I'll go into some detail, but yeah, I was locked down in a concrete room, especially because of during COVID, right? So they're not sure what I have. I had another COVID test. They tested me for like rare African diseases.
Yeah, they don't know what was going on at that point.
And so eventually they did a lung scope, and that's what actually figured it out. But I was in a concrete room by myself for ended up being close to 5 days, 4.5, 5 days. My potassium was completely gone. So they were replenishing my potassium, IV drip, biotics. It was crazy.
I can only think about your wife and kid. I'm like, oh, they probably just wanted to hug you better.
Yeah, you're always thinking about your significant others, your special ones out there, and the loved ones, especially the ones that took care of you during that time. So, it was intense. It was crazy. And you think you're gonna, that's the last thing you're gonna see is the inside of that wall. So I can only imagine what he was feeling. I mean, my heart was good. I didn't really have any issue like that. So, for it to lead to the bleed, the blood around his heart and intensity. Chris is calling for one more match, but I don't think we're going to get it. I don't think so. But
I think his one more match will be whatever you play in 2K22, because he is going to be sitting at home with his family, making sure he stays around for his family. So, and also 1 second, I'm just going to close my window. I can hear traffic already starting because it's noon. So 1 second.
All right, you do what you got to do. So that being said, folks, he had to go through a bunch of tests. An EKG showed that your heart. Oh, I lost the page. Your heart's supposed to pump out between 50 and 60 of your injection fracture, which is a good number. Triple H was at 30, so he wasn't pumping anything. You got to, basically he was told, pack a bag and head to the emergency room, and that's what he did.
If the heart's supposed to pump like 50 liters a day, like roughly, that's a rough estimate. Yeah, 30. Oh my goodness. He must have been. How do you even function? Your iron isn't even getting to your heart at that point. Like,
well, he went from 22 to 12. So like he's in dire straits at this point. And it was just nosediving. So, and like he says here, and this is what you all think about during this time, your family, your future, where you want to be, the people you love, the people you want to be around. It all goes through your mind. So the situation got worse. Obviously his family was pretty devastated. And like he said, like he has 3 little girls, and I can relate to this, and 15, 13, 11. And suddenly, to go from being sick to in the hospital and not know your future, that's all you think about, right? Like you don't care about yourself as much as you would imagine.
No, I bet he wasn't even, probably wrestling was probably the farthest thing from his mind. He just probably wanted, just like, where's Stephanie? Where's my kids? Am I going to be good? And there for them. So it's.
Yeah. And I mean, let's say,
like, I'm glad he's okay and going to be able to be around, and like still he can even show up for like Hall of Fame and stuff, still give interviews, as long as he's just not exerting himself too much.
Oh, we're going to see him again for sure. There's going to be more.
Like he's a wrestler, so he's technically made of rubber like all the other ones.
Yeah.
So like. And a workaholic, so I'm sure he will still be in interviews and like probably when he gets 100% better, like there, and COVID is done, then maybe a meet and greet. Probably nothing before then, because you don't want to risk any new pathogens getting there. So, but
no, no, not at all. And I mean, it's high risk. And I think maybe if he was in a different circumstance, he didn't have the family, and maybe at some point he gets to a point where they're like, oh, no, you have this defibrillator, but you should be okay if you do the following things. But having the family, having the children, that puts it on a whole different perspective. It's not even worth the gamble at that point, right? So I think this is why you're seeing him say, and he was very specific, my in-ring career is done. He's not done from wrestling. He's not done from being an executive. He will be able to function, but he is definitely not going to compete as, the King of Kings, the sledgehammer wielding badass that he had been for 30 years.
But that's a career that he's able to look back and confidently say he made a difference in the wrestling world. Like, wow, that's a footprint you can't, like, that's a huge footprint for him. And he's an icon. He created so many things, and he inspired so many people. So I hope he's able to look at that and be like, wow, I actually did accomplish a lot because I'm Triple H. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at his career. He starts off, just kind of, training. I know his story pretty solid, but of course, when you jump on live and you got to remember it all. So I don't want to be inaccurate.
Completely forget everything. Yes.
But this guy, I mean, one of the favorite stories I have about Triple H is the beginning of his career. He starts out as, and he's known as Terra Rising, which is hilarious. Terra Rising. So Terra Rising, if everyone's following along at home, in the early 90s, and literally he was a hard worker. Everybody said the same thing about his work ethic.
Oh yeah, I've never heard a bad thing about Triple H. Like his work ethic, his behind the scenes, he's always nice to people. Even when he's calling you just to talk about a contract, you're like, you end up in a 3-hour conversation just because he's so nice. So I haven't heard one bad thing about him.
No, not at all. I mean, and obviously he's had heat with some people, like, him and Jericho have had some times. Him and CM Punk are the biggest friends. But that comes with the territory, and it's a lot of alphas in a room, and everybody's trying to be the top dog. So you understand why. And I mean, I know people talk, eventually the talk of, his relationship with Stephanie and how it played a role, but he was over before, and he was going to be over regardless. Like, look at him, look at his physique, look at his attitude, look the way he carries himself. He was going to be over.
He also get horribly buried even while dating Stephanie. Like they like broke kayfabe and had a hug, but they were skating at the time.
Yeah.
And they buried him. Like it didn't matter that you're dating the man's boss. Like you're not dating the boss's daughter. You're getting buried.
Yeah.
Regardless.
That was the infamous curtain call where Scott Hall, Kevin Nash are leaving for the greener pastures of WCW. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, they all come out, they share a hug, they break kayfabe, they get the crowd pumped up. I always find it funny because when Triple H tells that story, he's very much like, I didn't know what was happening. I just they were like, you knew what a big deal it was. So he plays a little innocent on that one. But it's one of the most insane. And we talked recently about Scott Hall and his impact on wrestling and the ripple effect of Scott Hall. Triple H definitely has a bigger ripple than most, including probably Scott Hall, because you think he was involved in a lot of that. So they do the curtain call. They break kayfabe. Shawn Michaels the champion. Diesel and Scott are gone. So who's the whipping boy? Triple H. Now Triple H is supposed to win the King of the Ring. He's no longer on the docket to win King of the Ring. Stone Cold Steve Austin wins that year's King of the Ring and drops the infamous 316 on everybody. So if they don't break kayfabe, Triple H wins that. Who knows what the careers look like of a few people, and who knows if the WWE even has the ability to dig themselves out of the hole they were in. So it's crazy.
Perhaps that really helped since he was being buried. He kind of got knocked down to the bottom of the card, but everybody at the bottom of the card already really respected him. So he probably just helped a lot of those guys build themselves up. Like I'm sure Orton was just getting started at the time and was like just baby Orton with that little spiky hair.
Not quite yet, but you're close. And Orton was probably
one more class ahead of him.
Just so close. It was more like the Cenas.
Yeah, there we go. The Cenas.
The Batistas, the Ortons.
Yes. Sorry. I should have went back one more year. One more. Yes. But like there's so many people he had a greater influence on because they kicked him all the way down. They're like, well, I'll take this opportunity and learn from this person then. Mm-hmm. So I think doing that they might have thought it was like, oh, haha, we'll kick you down and you're going to get paid. You're paying for this. We're going to bury you. But he was helping a lot of people. So, because everybody around that time, like Cena, like Batista, those are giant names now. So
then, for us, you think about his career and the connection. We always joke around about us Canadians, but he was repackaged as a French Canadian, Jean-Paul Levesque, for quite a while in his WCW days. But then he joined WWF in 1995, becomes the infamous Hunter Hearst Helmsley at the time. And like you said, he was buried, but he had amazing matches with so many people. He lost a lot, but he was good. And he just kept doing it and stayed and kept doing it. And then eventually they had to give him a push because he was having great matches. He ate his lump of coal, even if it wasn't his fault.
He took all the heat for all the guys. He said, okay,
But then he starts having amazing matches with Mick Foley, with The Rock, and the Hunter Hearst Helmsley gimmick was hated. It was awful. Nobody liked it. He was snooty. He has that big nose that he had stuck up in the air. And he was despised, and he was really good at being despised.
Does anybody know where he got the Hunter Hearst Helmsley name or the Triple H? Because I have a theory, but I've also been corrected before based on it was a famous other sports person. So I'm going to quickly look that up if you don't have
All right. That's cool. But then you look at how his career evolved once he kind of started getting stale, and obviously they were having trouble with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are now over in WWC land, and they are running amok and they are destroying the ratings. And Hulk Hogan turns heel and the world catches fire, which oddly enough, when this news broke, I was sitting here watching a documentary about Hulk Hogan turning heel. I swear to you.
That's
I,
okay. Yeah.
I was going through the archive, and there's a series called Evil, and the first episode was all about
Yeah.
Hogan joining the NWO. I thought this is wicked.
I
So
saw that advertised. It did look very good.
it's
So.
good. It's interesting. It kind of breaks down stuff we already kind of know, but it kind of just kind of a retelling and a little more to the point, right? Not a whole bunch of the other stuff, just kind of focusing on Hulk Hogan specifically. So I liked it, but in
Is Mr.
response
Triple?
to, oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry to interrupt you. Is Mr. Triple H Canadian, or it says he's born race is French Canadian, which I
I
didn't know
think
was a
his
race.
parent, he was born in the States, I do believe.
I also didn't know you could
he
have
was
a
born in
race.
New Hampshire. I believe his father, Levesque, was French Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So he's like that makes more sense. That website is bonkers. I tried to find it. It just said that he got Triple H and said Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I have heard a very fun theory because you've never heard this sentence before. So my favorite serial killer is H.H. Holmes.
And I have heard that before. I've said it.
Oh, great. Yes. Favorite serial killer is HHH. And there's a theory that he also heard of him because H.H. Holmes changed his name because it was like Mudgett Henry. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I'm just going to change my name, H.H. Holmes. Yeah. So there's a theory that he might have got it from there, but I've also heard that he's got it from other places like famous, I want to say baseball player or hockey player. Mm-hmm. One of those ones. So that's just my crazy theory, but you can totally. The internet's not helping me right now.
And I don't know. I think my understanding, like the only story I can recall thinking about through some of the docs I've seen about him, I feel like it was something given to him. Like I don't know if he had necessarily came up with it, but again, even more to your theory of maybe someone had the Triple H thought in their head because who knows? But I don't know if it was a collaborative thing, but I know the gimmick and stuff was offered to him as far as like, we have this idea.
That's very cool. So even if it was in there by accident as an inspiration, that's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't know what else. We can definitely talk about the fact that he, like I said, in response to NWO and the chaos and I mean the wrestling industry changing, we got DX. Obviously he's a founding member of DX with one Shawn Michaels, and they did some of the craziest shit ever.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can give me 1 second. I have full 1 second.
Oh, yeah. She's onto something. But yeah, I mean, to this day, one of my favorite moments was the whole censorship speech they gave. It was unbelievable. It was hilarious. As a kid, you were crying, like it was too funny. And I remember I got a DX VHS. Yes, I'm old. I got a DX VHS, and it had like the best of, and one of the things in it were that whole speech of like, we will not use, and they list off all the words and kind of give us the George Carlin routine. Amazing. And they killed me. Oh, look at that.
I have the One Last Stand 3-disc special. You can't see it because the green screen is taking up, but it's like,
there you go.
Let's see if I can switch the green screen here for a second and you can see it better.
Ooh.
Here we go. Yes.
There you go. Yeah. That's a good one.
It's fantastic. I have sat through all 3 discs. We bought it. We watched it. There's even little cartoons here in the front as a little homage to them.
That's amazing.
And yes, 3 discs of all of this. So this man had such a career.
Mm-hmm.
And there are pictures all over it. Like wouldn't be surprised if it's collector one day, but I don't ever plan on getting rid of it. So
No, I hold on to that one. So, and I mean, that was the whole DX thing was crazy. The feud with Brett, then you throw in the whole Montreal screw job. I mean, it was crazy times for wrestling. Triple H was right there for almost all of it. Um, and then you have all this. He's still doing well. He's still winning titles. He's putting up IC belts. He's having great matches, great rivalries again with The Rock, with Mick Foley, with a bunch of different guys. You could put him in there with anybody. And when he worked, he was mean. When he, you believe what he did. He had some vintage, that spine buster. He would pop guys with that spine buster, and it changed the complexion of any match that he hit it in. The pedigree is one of the best finishers ever, still duplicated to this day. So, I mean, yeah, it's just crazy to see such an impact. And then Shawn Michaels has to step away, and everyone thinks DX is dead. And that night he came out and delivered the speech and basically said, "It's my ball." Shawn took his and went home. I got this. It was insane. And then X-Pac comes out, which of course is, his buddy Scott. And then you got Road Dogg and Billy, the ass man, show up. And they were just as insane as the other, the original, incarnation. And of course, I don't want to leave out China in the whole mix. And, their time together, and Scott's time with China, I suppose, too. Literally carrying so much. And
for years he carried that, like a good chunk of that company was carried just on him.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was definitely good. He was a top guy for a reason. And that night, he came out, you believed everything he said. And when they turned it on and they became, the new DX, nobody questioned it. Everybody just went with it. And the next thing you know, they're driving down they're in a tank going to Nitro, or they're at the
live.
They're at the Turner offices trying to get an interview. Insane. Like, nobody would have thought of shit like that. That was just madness. To the point where the other company had guys on guard waiting for these guys to show up because, it wouldn't have been pretty if they had made it in the building, to be honest.
No, but it's just so funny. I love that's iconic, and everybody still talks about it because they brought a tank to their competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was also going to mention that he gave a lot of women from NXT chances just to be the women around his throne a lot of the times, because we had Charlotte and Becky. We had the whole 4 horsemen women that were just there, and it's kind of like putting their foot in the door a little bit.
Right.
So that's nice.
Chris says there's nobody like the game. I completely agree. But for me, where Triple H made his money and where I really became a Triple H fan was when he became the game. When he turned, and all of a sudden you got the new music, the new attitude, the new look. I'm going to wear jean jackets, and I'm going to come out to heavier music, and that whole thing with everyone that ever sees this video that we're talking about right now has tried to spit water in the air because of Triple H, or misted one of their friends because they seen this guy do it. 100%. The pop he got when he returned, but I mean, it was crazy. Look, the jean jacket.
In the jean
jacket.
But yes, the music, even now, when you hear Motorhead, you're like, this is Triple H's. The
Motorhead ties are amazing. That original theme, though, just the yelling, I don't know what you want to describe it as, but just the way it went. And like I said, they hit him with all the colors. He did the mist. It was, and again, won titles, won championships, was a monster. And they were great matches. Now Chris is bringing up the 2002 return, one of the craziest pops I've ever heard. And they told us after this commercial, when we come back, Triple H will be here. And you knew it. Come back from break, the ring's quiet, kind of like that feel. And then that riff, and time to play the game. And he came walking out, and the place came unglued.
I do love that about wrestling, that even when we know somebody's coming, it's not even a secret. We are literally told this person's showing up. We still go crazy because they're actually there. So I 100% get how you could be told, oh yeah, Triple H is literally coming up next. And you'll be like, yeah, but I don't believe it yet. but I don't believe it yet until
You
I
gotta
see
see
it.
it.
Where's him? Then I'll believe it. So
Might be the loudest
we are
pop
a
ever.
very hey, you said that about the Hardys pop.
When?
No, not you, Chris. He was
Oh,
said that the Hardys pop was the loudest one ever.
which one? The recent one?
No, the one that when they returned to WWE.
Oh, at Wrestlemania, that was a
That one.
huge pop. Those are in the conversation for sure. The Triple H one, Austin's return, the Cena Royal Rumble one, where nobody really knew he was coming. There's been some really big ones. But then obviously with Triple H, you look at he forms he gets Ric Flair, he reinvigorates him. He kicks us off with Batista, introduces the world to him coming out of OVW, Randy Orton, and they start Evolution. And one of my favorite stories ever is we went to a group of us went to a movie theater to watch the pay-per-view, and they'd always do like little games and little trivia. And I actually got a trivia question correct, and my prized possession for a long time was my Evolution T-shirt. So I was pretty pumped about that. So big fan of Evolution, big fan of Ric Flair. So to see it all come together, and obviously Randy Orton and Batista end up being, future stars. Saw all that play out, seen all of that. Look at Randy Orton. What's he got? 14 or 15 titles of his own now. It's insane.
Yeah, he's matching the student became the master there. He's almost matching him with titles. But I said Mike, yes. But he helped so many people. So I feel like this is kind of a little bit of a like, oh, we were hoping. Like a little, I'm sure the morale, I'm not sure how it could get lower in WWE, but I'm sure it'll go lower.
Yeah, I mean, if anything else, I think the silver lining is trying to celebrate 30 years, right? Like,
yes, that is 100% something to celebrate.
Yeah, you're kind of bummed,
this guy is.
Especially if you're like, oh, maybe we'll get to see it again one day. But I mean, I think, like he said, having something happen to his heart mid-ring and have that defibrillator kick in front of everybody doesn't really sound desirable, especially because I'm sure it comes with some complications.
I don't think we need to have the family-friendly audience see one of their favorites go through that. So I very much agree with his decision. Yeah, but like you said, he only said in-ring career. He's not stepping away from wrestling entirely.
No, absolutely not. And then, again, talking about some major iconic moments, we had that triple threat match, and Triple H blows his quad mid-match and continues. He gets put in the walls of Jericho with a blown quad. Like,
I don't know how you're not crying at that point.
It rolled right up. It rolled right up on him like an old curtain.
Like, I don't know how you don't immediately tap and just start crying. Your muscle is detached.
Yeah. And then
I would be like, yeah, no, I can't do this. There's a part of the body that's not attached to the body anymore.
No, it's crazy. But he finished the match. He walks off, and then that's where Chris was talking about. He's gone. He recruits. He goes through rehab, and then he comes back, and the place went insane. Considering he was heelish when he left, people were thrilled to see him back. KJ, out of all his babyface and bad guy runs, what was your favorite iteration of Triple H? Mine was his feud with Randy Orton. God, that's like a tough one on the spot. I like this, all around the end of the era stuff. For me, I thought that was really impeccable. As I said, when he first came back, he was having that rivalry with The Rock, where The Rock was kind of the standout of the Nation of Domination, and Triple H was doing his thing. The original game, like when he came back as the Game with like I said, with the wet hair and the sprayed mist, that's my favorite version of Triple H ever. I mean, I like the King of Kings and stuff, but the Game, when he first came, it was so, you were just so used to seeing something else from him. To see this was unbelievable. And he looked bigger because he had been working out and rehabbing. So he had put on a considerable amount of weight. The Randy Orton feud was amazing. I mean, they've had a couple good ones. No, the end of the era thing, I think, takes the cake though out of it all. The way it was done, and the Michaels and Taker, and knowing that it was kind of goodbye. Like it was like the passing of the torch. The guys from the Attitude Era were all but gone, or at least the big ones were. And yeah, that's crazy. So that's a good question, Anthony. Thank you for that. But I don't know if
We
you.
got Chris in the chat just reliving the brokenness.
Yeah, he's just like,
Ah.
ew. No, when they slow it down and you can see the muscles like bounce, you're like, ew, ew. I think it was turned into a game. Yeah, the game. That's a good one. Do you have a favorite style of Triple H? Were you a fan of him like in DX?
I very much liked just the game character, and I loved the opening when he turned into this golden king of the game and had all these theatrics and people carrying. I love that. I loved it. Carry him down to the ring on a throne. Love it.
That's one thing. He had a series of extremely kick-ass Wrestlemania entrances. Really did.
That was, I may not have know like so much individually, especially in his earlier career, a little fuzzy on that, but I've seen quite a few of his WrestleMania ones, and that's yes, 100%. I could say his match against Sting, but I was really confused at why they made Sting lose.
Yeah, it was the whole thing was kind of insane.
That was just a weird area of time.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, what else did he do? I mean, he had multiple titles. He literally at that point he had become. I mean, we see him come back, and obviously he had a hand in KO winning a title. He messed with Roman Reigns for a while. If him and Stephanie weren't as benevolent as they were at the time, we probably wouldn't have had the Daniel Bryan thing be as big as it was. The corporation, it did a lot. I mean, at that time, it was one of the more interesting parts of wrestling. Absolutely. I mean, that whole faction, and then the turning of Seth Rollins and all of it.
Yeah, I agree. Almost every person he stepped in the ring with, it was a good match. Almost everyone. I'm gonna put that word "almost" in there.
Yeah.
But I agree with Anthony here. Even after he retires, I think he's still going to be even people that don't hate him, talking about Triple H feeling he wouldn't have gone if he didn't sleep with Steph. Well, yeah. I just bring it all the way back to the point was he was dating her when he got buried, so it didn't really matter that he was dating the boss's daughter. He was buried.
And just for the record, one of my favorite moments back then, especially, I loved when him and Steph got married in a drive-through at Vegas, or in Vegas. She's about to marry Test, and they're all happy, and of course it's a wrestling wedding, so we're about to get some, we're about to get some fuckery, and that we did, and
drive-through wedding chapel. Yeah,
it was so funny and so campy, and but it was you were right with it, right? Like, when he's like, yeah, I love him, I do. You're like, oh my god. But then Steph's crying and freaking out, but then they ultimately fall in love, and she becomes evil Steph. That was all golden. That was all money in the bank for me.
I agree. Yep.
Now, to Anthony's point, yeah, a lot of people are going to asterisk that, but I don't think that changed his positioning. I think he was in that. Think about it. He did the curtain call with, Nash and Michaels and Hall. And then, he went on to win King of the Ring and have matches. I think his work ethic, his talent would have reigned anyway. And like we talked about, it had nothing to do with his relationship with Stephanie McMahon. DX, all but dead. You watch, Shawn Michaels pretty much be carried off. His back is in pieces. He's done. DX is over. And here's Triple H. And he delivered a promo in such a way nobody gave a shit about Michael Jackson. Shawn Michaels 2 seconds later. Like, it was a really interesting transition, but he did it. And that has nothing to do with his marital status.
I could totally be mistaken because I was not alive at the time or watching it. LJ, you're making a mistake. He was dating China. He cheated on China and started with Steph. I'm just talking about, I'm pretty sure he was dating Steph when he did the curtain call. That's literally it.
It'd be close.
He could not be, totally not be. I could be mistaken. I'll take the mistake. But I think
don't
he
know
was.
about the whole. I mean, there was rumors of infidelity, but I mean, I think it
We
fell.
don't. We're not China or Steph, so I have no. And
No
phones weren't
idea,
around back like where the internet wasn't the biggest thing, so I don't really have a way to verify that he was doing that.
right? CJ, good to see you, buddy. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. Triple H retirement seems like the saddest news in wrestling history for some reason. Hall of Fame needed soon. Put him in this year's Hall of Fame.
That would be good.
Don't
But
wait. Just put him in now. The first guy ever that like
Yeah.
a week out was like, "You're in." He's another guy. I think he's the upper echelon. He is in the top. You know, I think he's in the top 10 for me of all time. Now my bias puts him at number 1, but trying to be, step back and be a little subjective about it all, or objective about it all. He's in the top handful of wrestlers ever. And
yes,
that, I
absolutely.
think
There's no denying that. Yes.
I agree. So, I mean, again, it's a bit of a sad day, but I mean, at the end of the day, some guys stay around and wrestle too long, too old, Sting. But you just want them to,
He jumped off the table and he got right back
Right.
up.
So, if you can
More
still do
impressive
it, do it.
than
I
a
mean,
few.
Terry Funk fought till he was like 92. It felt
Yeah.
like anyway. I think I skipped one of Anthony's comments, but I'll let you click.
No, that was telling me about China.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's all good.
Drive-through wedding was an awesome swerve, Chris. It made me laugh so hard. It was just such a funny way to end a show. Like, you're like, wait, did that just happen? Like, made no sense. And then they were like reluctantly hanging out together.
Watching little clips back. It's really funny.
So funny,
especially because it's obviously the boss's daughter. This is not. You can see where the joke is. Like, it's so blatant and it's just so funny, and I love it. So
yeah, and I mean that goes to show what you can do with wrestling. Wrestling can be silly. Mm-hmm. Wrestling can not, like, it can be so, like a soap opera, like in that kind of funny twist. Like, that would never happen. But that's what it's. But if you're done right and the people around it are convinced and sell it in a convincing manner, everyone didn't give a shit. It was the funny as hell. It made sense. It worked.
And yes, Chris agrees with you, and looks like he agrees with me. Sting should have beat Triple H. I agree, but that was a time that nobody talks about because it was weird.
Yeah, it was the whole Sting situation with WWE never worked out all that
KJ,
great.
I hope I'm not messing up my Wrestlemania entrances for Triple H. I like the Gladiator entrance, but I'm not sure if it was Wrestlemania 32 or 34. I don't know.
I feel like it would have been 34. I think 32 was the motorbike. My inclination is 34. I feel like it was later, like more recent than that one. So, let me see. We don't pretend to know everything, so I just want to verify.
Not all the time. We do know a lot, but not every detail.
But no, he had a series of good ones. The Terminator one was good. I mean, considering what it was as far as a marketing tactic or ploy or whatever,
it was better than whatever Brian Cage came out in trying to be a Terminator at one. I don't know what that was. It was better than that. So
yeah, I think he's a little stuck with. He had some unfortunate ones. No, I was wrong. It's 32.
Oh, there you go, 32. We have answered your question.
I think it's 32 if I'm looking correctly. Yeah, it's 32 at the AT&T Stadium. So go figure.
TJ says Tommy Dreamer laughing face. Is that his favorite feud with Triple H?
No way. I'm not quite sure what sparked the Tommy Dreamer comment, but yeah, no, Dreamer's a beautician, as we would like to call him.
But Chris says, as much as people remember Austin.
Oh, that's not the. No, he had the one with the skulls in 32. So I think I was right, 34.
Okay. Okay, look at that.
I like it.
But Chris says, as much as people remember Austin versus Vince, Triple H and Stephanie versus Vince was great too. I agree. I don't think you'd ever see a father fight his daughter on TV. So that was something.
WrestleMania 31 was
Oh,
the.
neither of the answers. Great.
I believe so. We're playing around here. Yes, Triple H entrance rebooted. So it will. Yeah, I thought it was later than that. I thought it was closer to 34. But he's had a lot. Like just looking through this list here. I mean, but it was 34 where they went Terminator. As he was planning to take on Legacy, I do believe that night, or at least one of the DiBiase, or was it DiBiase?
But CJ cleared it up. You said old wrestlers Sting, LOL. I added Tommy Dreamer. I agree. I agree, man.
There you go, TJ.
He looks like he should just stay home. Come on, start a podcast, stay home.
Tommy Dreamer just looks like he's uncomfortable at all times. Like when you see him stand there, it just looks like all he wants. Like, dude, you should probably go lay down. He just looks like constantly red in the face and just uncomfortable.
I want to know what kind of. Oh, gee, I want to know what kind of deal RVD and WWE has. This man is still in WWE games. Yes, he is.
I think the deal is that people like him. I'm shocked. I mean, I thought RVD would be the type of person, type of wrestler that people distance themselves from. Like, just because of, I mean, again, teach their own. And I got no personal problem with it. However, the big bad corporate PG corporation and, you know, RVD is a wild dude. So
they wouldn't like his lifestyle. No.
No. But at the same time, people friggin' love RVD. It's the whole damn show, to put it nicely. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing how many people are in that game that don't belong in that game. I mean, imagine buying like NBA 2022 or NHL or any of the sport games and the roster's completely wrong. Like, you're like, wait, none of these guys are here anymore. Like, what the hell? It's just so funny.
This year, they're probably having so much fun with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a complete, like, I mean, you're stuck in a marketing pickle. You're like, if you gut everybody, we have nobody. All right. Well, pretend that each character's costume change is another character. Then we can tell people there's like 2 million characters in this goddamn game. When all it is a change of clothes, folks.
But CJ also says Triple H announces his retirement, but shows up at WrestleMania 38 to face Cody Rhodes. Bro, that would be the damn slap in the face that would be.
No.
Yeah. I don't think he's coming back, though. He has a machinery in his heart.
Yeah, I know he might not wrestle, but I mean, I'm all for him dropping a gratuitous, you know, this is for all your shit talking pedigree. You know, come out in WrestleMania and, you know, Cody's celebrating some win over Seth, probably some roll-up win on Seth Rollins, and Triple H come out and just drill him one time. You know, give him the finger, give him the old DX chop, and walk off. And that's the last time we see him.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Yes,
I'm okay with that. He owes Cody a couple licks.
Oh, you just got all the questions today, there, KJ.
Do you think anybody's ever gonna use Motorhead? No. I mean, I can't say never use Motorhead again, but their sound is just them. Like, the minute you hit a Motorhead song, you know who it is. Like,
yeah,
you're not like, wait, is that Sabbath or no? It's Motorhead, and they're never going to. I don't think they would allow it. Never mind. And keep in mind, they've had, what do you call it? The WWE has very strict policies. They like to control, you know, the trademarking on the music, just like everything else. So the fact that they'd be willing to go get you a song from Motorhead would be one thing. But I don't see them ever allowing anybody to touch it. I mean, that's how I feel about the Tombstone. Nobody should be allowed to do the Tombstone anymore. And I mean, obviously, Motorhead and Triple H's relationship with Lemmy and how close they were, I think that's sacred. I don't think they mess with that at all. What do you think?
Oh, I do not think anybody's using that anytime soon. Nope.
No. And I mean, it could be any song, but if it's a Motorhead riff, leave it alone.
Yeah, just leave it alone. CJ, Raw after Mania return predictions. Well,
I like this question.
There might be predictions being done on the 24-hour extravaganza WrestleMania stupendous thing that we're doing that I don't know all the words to.
As you're going through it, it's like There's a little apprehension in your voice there.
Because I know it's split up. I'm here. We're good.
We'll
Will
make it
booked it
work.
off, so we'll be good.
Shifts off, everyone taking turns. We're dedicated. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to drag CJ out and make him do some watch along with us.
Maybe.
See if he wants to be on this side of the mic. But predictions. I mean, the Raw after Mania could be the funniest show ever because nobody on Mania, like anybody that was on Mania, might not be at the Raw after Mania because it might just literally be 3 hours of entrances of like Bailey, Asuka, Tish, who else is missing? Who are the men?
Well, Veer is coming to Monday.
Veer is coming. They've talked about possibly.
But you guys got to stay tuned for my news because I do have a little extra little interesting thing about Veer's return that I'm not going to spoil yet. But I have heard of things.
Yeah, just for the record, folks, we've delayed the news today just because
this is breaking news.
This is breaking news, and every once in a while you get legitimate breaking news. Not everything is breaking news, as we've learned. And no, I mean, the minute it was actually Will who tipped me off. I was minding my own business, plugging through my day, and Will was like, check this out. And then Chris, like 10 minutes later, was like, send the same article. We're like, we're on it. I love that we're on it, but
we're on it.
I stopped what I was doing, and thankfully I have a nice casual Friday afternoon to myself. So I jumped on, and I thought my favorite, honestly, to me, like if you were like, Dave, pick your two faves from like that time frame or as a kid growing up, I've come to learn more about wrestling, and I have some other faves added to it. But from my wrestling childhood to adulthood, Triple H, Kurt Angle were my favorite too. Even everyone was cheering for Austin and The Rock, but I mean, Angle and Austin with the whole cowboy hats and that shit was amazing. And I'm such a sucker for good comedy, so I love that stuff. But Angle was good, played the hapless idiot very well, and but Triple H was right there. So when I saw this announcement, let's go live, let's talk about it. Now you surprised me with jumping up, but I guess you were already in the process of getting on the studio and having some fun.
Yes, I was just about to come in here and record the news, and I saw that, and I was like, hey, well, I guess I'm going to jump on and talk about it too, because this is breaking news.
Yeah.
And to your point, he definitely had a commitment to whatever joke he wanted to do, which is 100% all the respect, because that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We got more. CJ, do you guys think the current theme song Edge used will be used permanently? I can't see him using the OG theme anymore. I really like the dark side of Edge now. I think you mean the blue side of Edge now.
Yeah, I think they'll run this theme. At least they should. It'd be really stupid to have them show up at Mania with You Think You Know Me. I think at Mania they have a chance to go very blue. Maybe he'll float in like an angel. I don't goddamn know.
Don't give them any more ideas.
Yeah, no, I mean, that'd be kind of cool, right? But if he goes back to babyface, I could see, You Think You Know Me coming all back all again, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know how, like the Edge is kind of an anomaly for me right now because I keep expecting the next angle to be his last angle, and maybe I'm just over reading into his medical past and where he is. Maybe he's in way better shape than I assume, but I keep assuming we're getting close to Edge's last angle. So I think the next time you hear that old classic Edge theme, that might be on a nostalgia pop one night.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Breaker ends up losing the stand and deliver and end up called to the main roster and not having another title run on NXT? I have no idea what their plans are for Braun Breaker.
No, I mean, I've heard like from all the reports and some digging, I mean, it's believed that he is officially considered, at least internally, a part of the main roster. I've kind of said I could see Braun Breaker being involved at a higher point at WrestleMania 39. So yes, I do think we could see Braun Breaker show up. I mean, I'd rather see Braun Breaker go after Roman than who? Who's going to fight him? Sheamus? Who else is on that show? They got to keep bringing Brock back so we care about the title. Who's going to
Well,
go up against him?
he has to fight The Rock, and then Braun Breaker. Yeah.
Yes. Now the Rock thing will be interesting. I wonder if we'll do a 1-year build like we did with Cena, like this, specifically it would be the Friday after Mania. So I wonder if we get he shows up and kind of plants the seed. We're going to do this in Hollywood, and then it's just like a year of social media building again. We'll see.
CJ says he'll be at Mania. Lucky you.
There you go. I wish I was joining you, but I'll be here talking about it.
LJ and KJ, I understand he retired from in-ring competition. Do you think Triple H will come back and be a manager for young talent? Maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe.
It all depends on, how strong his heart is and how, obviously the bumps are a bad idea. But if he's on strict orders that you can't get worked up, performing in front of a live audience is a tricky one. But if he's in a good enough shape and you could do something like that. I could see it. Why not? You'd believe him as the head of kind of like what we're seeing with William Regal, right? Like, a veteran with a whole lot of clout. But I really do think he's got an eye for talent. He has the ability to develop. And I would love to see him back in charge. Put him in charge of Raw. I bet he makes it better. I have no doubt. If it was, listen, just give him Raw and y'all can mess around with every other show you want. Just let Triple H figure out what Raw should look like. I think he'd make it grittier, grimier, funnier, better, more real. And I think that's what we got in NXT when at it in its heyday. And even, you look at the rivalries, it wasn't stupid. You believed it. And every week you tuned in because you wanted to see it. And if you were super dialed into like DIY breaking up and they didn't cover it this week, they're going to cover it next week. You're like, oh shit. And you understood the importance of making people wait and anticipation. And I thought he did a phenomenal job. And it wasn't just him. There was a lot of guys around like Regal and Armstrong. But yeah, I could see him definitely taking some type of authoritative role, whether it be a manager or executive or an on-screen manager. Maybe, Triple H is now in charge of, he's now the new GM. Screw Sonya and Adam Pearce.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
No, I don't think we could be, right?
Oh, we got Anthony just got all the questions. Okay,
Anthony's
hold on.
Good. I like Anthony. He keeps me talking.
LJ and KJ, how you guys how would you guys have, but he'll turn on Damian Priest instead of how WWE did it, and which I'm gonna have you reread this question because I don't understand it.
LJ and KJ, how would you guys have done essentially the heel turn of Damian Priest instead of how the WWE did it? It was lackluster.
You leave him alone and let him do it himself.
That's why she's the best. That's exactly what you do. You had a good thing going with the infamy and the arrow and let him come out and do his whole thing. And then out of nowhere, you were like, you know what? You're going to be the Incredible Hulk. And if you get pissed off, you're a completely different man. And you're going to act like a heel. You're just going to run around destroying everything. Hulk smash, Hulk smash. And that's what he did for a few weeks. And then he lost the belt, which was crazy, blew my mind, to a guy that they had no interest in prior to giving him the belt. And then he just went bananas. It was really just, again, for me, a lot of the writing now for that particular company, it's just laziness. It's like, we need to get from here to here. How do we do it? And instead of going from point A to point B, they try and take every shortcut possible. And all you got to do is go from point A to point B, plot it nice and smooth, and they find a way to zigzag and try and get around it, and they end up just making it fluff. And that's what this was, fluff.
Yes. I'm not sure that, like, the reasoning of, people will predict it. Yeah, because stories are stories, but people still like stories.
It's all in how you tell the story, right? Like, you got to tell the story in a certain way. We just talked about Triple H's drive-through, right? Like, he drives through and gets married. And as with
a drunk, almost unconscious Stephanie.
Right. which now I don't even think you could get away with that on TV.
No, but he did it in a way that even I can look back and be like, that's really funny.
It's good.
So
It's a nonsensical. But as a teenager, I was like, this is hilarious. Good. And you wanted to see the evil Vince McMahon and the little bratty Stephanie and Tess. No one gave a shit about Tess. I don't even know how he ended up in that storyline. But you wanted to see them get screwed over. And what better way than Triple H, who again was kind of, sarcastic and heelish and pulling, that's something a heel would do, right? Like, the prince and the princess are about to get married and the heel has an evil ruse to stop them. However, the way he did it, it was funny. We all went with it. We enjoyed it. So, and I think that's the same thing with where we're talking back to the current product, is just make it make sense and don't take the shortcuts. So if you're just going to switch something, you have to give us a reason other than he just woke up one day and part of him was, he all of a sudden woke up with split personality. Like, give it a reason. Like, him and Finn at least bump into each other backstage and they get cut eye and there's an issue, and give me an angle, make it make sense, make it build to something.
This is the same show that named someone Slapjack and Butch. And T-Bar. Yeah.
And Butch. I mean, why would you take a guy that had a good name like Daijo? Like, Daijo, I can't even say it, but Daijo was good. Dijakovic. I needed to hear it. I mean, you have a guy that was super talented and you turned him into T-Bar and he hasn't done nothing. Why? You got these big men, you got Omos, you're trying to push the hell out of, and you got these big men that can do all those flips and tricks and dig in and give you a crazy match. But let's go Omos. Screw it.
Did you guys hear The Rock will be at Dallas, Texas for Mania? Me neither. I'm very...
I don't think don't get your hopes up, but I mean, if it happens, you're going to pop like crazy, CJ. We better see a video of you just, marking out if it happens. But I think they're really holding on to the sorry, I just saw a comment in the box there.
It's okay. That one just popped up and I got to say you'll get more details. You'll get more details in my news.
Is that legit?
Yeah.
We'll save it for the news. I was so busy setting up this thing and jumping on and such.
We can't talk about it. It's in the news, guys. You gotta wait for it.
Patience.
Guys, have as much patience as WWE. Hold on.
How are you today? Happy Friday.
Yes.
For all those who haven't been here before, we are the Wrestling for Life Network. We cover wrestling all day long. We are 1 month and 2 days old. And we are rocking, we are rolling, we're having so much fun. We've built from scratch. We already built one channel. We thought, why not build a second one? So here we are all over again, and we're having so much fun this time. And it's been nothing but family, nothing but positive. So thank you for being here. And what was this question?
Do you think this is going to be one he'll take 1 or 2 world titles off of? I don't know. I feel like this person has started in the middle of their sentence. Who do you think is going to be the one who will take 1 of 2 world titles after Mania? So who's going to reline the things?
I don't know how they're going to do this shit. I was hoping. So here's what I hoped. And anyone out there with a pair of ears, I've been saying this for a long time. But go to one champion, dissolve the belt. Whoever wins it, which my betting money is on Roman Reigns. If anybody wants to know where my money's going, I could be completely wrong. And I have a lot of fun coming on, live internet and letting everyone know how stupid I am. But I'm putting my money on Roman. You have one champion. And the 2 shows, you highlight your other belts on the shows. Kind of like you do. They're trying to do it, but they kind of drop the ball sometimes. But where you use the TNT title, the tag titles, the TBS title, you have these other championships that get to be in the main event spots of your shows. This way you don't have a champion like Big E who loses 8 times in a few months. You don't have these stupid matches where the champion gets rolled up and pinned. And to their credit, nobody's pinning Roman anywhere close to it. But how they have Roman booked is perfect. You only see Roman do stuff when it matters. They try not to waste it. He doesn't get in the ring. Like, again, he doesn't lose by a roll up to anybody. Like, it's not like, Ricochet's going to pin him tomorrow night or tonight, actually, during our watch party. So for me, go to one belt, make it prestigious, have your rosters fight it out on the shows. If you don't want to dissolve, if each show wants their own belts and stuff, fine. But you bring importance to IC title again. Maybe that's what Cody Rhodes does. If he is truly coming to WWE, which I still don't believe it, make him the IC title and let him main event Raws, where that title is a workman title, like it was with Macho Man and Steamboat, and the list of Triple H is another perfect example, one of the best IC title champions we've had. So that's what I would see. Same thing with US title, marquee it. Your tag team division needs a whole bunch of love, marquee it. And then your women, your women's division doesn't get enough love. You have a lot of TV, you have a lot of programming, use them. And again, someone like Charlotte Flair, you don't see Charlotte Flair wrestle every week, and you don't see her losing to Nikki Ash on a Monday. If she's going to lose, it's going to be on a pay-per-view, and people are going to pay for it, or at least show up on the Peacock for it.
But then when you ask for that and you don't have any legacy, you're called difficult to work with.
Fair enough.
I don't want a job to Ricochet on Monday night opening the show. Well, you're difficult to work with.
Well, that's the design. That's the tough part of all this, right? So, there's a lot of opportunities just to kind of write it better and put it all together. But I do love the idea of one champion, and when somebody picks a fight with the champion, or the champion picks a fight with somebody, we're dying to see it. You got to build towards it. You kind of want like that, the way CM Punk and MJF had been built up, where you were dying for war, you were dying for a brawl, and when you finally get it, there's a payoff. That's how you do it. That's how you sell tickets. Ask Wrestlemania. When you don't have good storylines, it's hard to sell tickets.
And we got Anthony going in on Vince, saying that he's too comfortable at the top, and that's why booking has gotten lackluster, because he feels like there's no competition, even though there's totally no competition that they keep taking shots at.
Here's the thing. I don't think it is even about the competition. At the end of the day, they made $1 billion. So it doesn't matter what AEW does. It doesn't matter. The only time it will start mattering is when it affects the bottom line. Things
Tony Khan's daddy has like $7 billion.
It's true. But the company, as much as he's worth that, it's the value of that company. Vince McMahon is worth more than $1 billion.
No, the value of the company, yes.
Right. So the fact that Nick Khan pulled off making $1 billion in a year where he fired over 100 employees is insane. But that shows the goal. They don't care. It's not lazy booking. It is complacency.
It's greedy booking.
It's greedy booking, because it doesn't matter. Sheamus and Ricochet can fight for 15 weeks straight because all they are is filler between commercials. And that's where we make our money. We're not making our money on these two guys beating each other up. But what they lose sight of is, if you made $1 billion sucking, how much money could you make if you actually dug in and got in some decent wrestling minds to give us good stories? Think about it.
You could make so much money and you wouldn't have to fire people.
I told you, I was watching the NWO, DX, all that, Attitude Era stuff today, kind of going through the story of Hollywood Hogan. And just watching that, you see like 9-10 million people are tuning in to watch wrestling on a Monday night. Who cares about football? Who cares about this? Who cares about that? They don't have that anymore. They don't. And I don't know if they'll ever get it again, but they need to step it up. As far as, I think there's so much money out there, but they already made $1 billion. They don't give a shit.
Anthony says, I think the reason they changed Dominic's name is because, like you, KJ, they were struggling to pronounce it. Dominic Dijakovic. Yeah.
I was like, Dominic Mysterio? No, Dijakovic. I just needed to hear it, but but call him Dijo. I thought it was cool enough. Yeah. When he was, when he was hanging around.
LJ, are you a natural redhead, or is that your hair dyed? You will never know.
I like it. I like it.
AEW news. Adam Cole and Red Dragon new name is Undisputed Elite. Apparently AEW filed for a trademark. Yes, they did. I didn't include that in the news because it was too small of a story with everything going on.
I don't mind. That's cool. I mean, William's going to be a little upset. Our boy Will. because he wanted them to stick with, because they did touch on the Undisputed Originals at one point.
Yes.
The Undisputed Elite, is it a little too much offshoot of?
I think it's only because it's building to some giant stadium
Ultimate
stampede
Elite
type of thing where it's like the Golden Elite versus the Undisputed Elite, and it's basically NXT versus the like New Japan boys. That's
it.
like Kenny. So
Mhm.
that's
And I'm curious
probably
where
where
Jay
they're
White
going.
fits into all this, because we did get a little tease of Jay White. So I'm curious how he ties into it, but he's entrenched in some stories over on the other shows. So Undisputed Elite. Yeah, I get it. I understand why they did it. Undisputed Originals, not bad, but I don't know if you want to be called the UO, UE. I'm okay with it.
Oh, and one more comment. Anthony says, what are your prediction, guys, for big swerves during Wrestlemania in terms of title matches? For me, my big swerve is the Usos turning on Roman and joining their brother.
Their brother, like Solo?
Like,
That would be
yeah,
interesting. I don't think we're there yet with Solo, just
I
based on
don't
the
think so.
rumors.
I think he's still in NXT at
That'd
the
be
moment.
cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I have zero idea, but I'm sure Ronda Rousey will win something, and Brock will win something else, because those are
You
Vince's
don't
favorites.
know them. You don't know them. For me, I honestly think that Gable Stevenson could have a major impact on WrestleMania. I really
Forgetting
think,
about him, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, it comes out, he wins his second national title, and apparently they've been training the shit out of this guy. So for me, what if he's the new Paul Heyman guy? And what if this
That'd be
means
good.
that, I don't know how that plays out in the story of all of it, but I think we might see him involved. As far as the women, I think the women's going to be straight up. I think Ronda's just going to win, and that might be disappointing. I'm still skeptical at that match.
Yeah, I know. I want to be skeptical too, but I'm just going to be like, yeah, WWE's all over themselves every time they get the chance. So Ronda's winning.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's how it's going to go. And I don't know, maybe Charlotte can go join her hubby on the other side, on the other show.
Well, but it looks like, Anthony, you already got people in the comments disagreeing with you. Uso will never turn on Roman. Wait for Roman v. Rock. That's when the issues will come. I'm sure they're going to do something big for that, but I don't see them turning on Roman just yet.
Mm-hmm. I could definitely see them kind of stepping back and throwing their hands up when The Rock's involved, to CJ's point, being like,
yeah,
you on your own.
Like, he's the actual tribal chief. I'm not messing with The Rock. Like,
yeah, we're not sure who's in charge now, so we'll wait.
Yeah.
But I don't see the Usos turning. If they did, it would be bad, because there was no inclination. There was no, like, if they just did it out of left field, that's not cool. They had the old heat. They had that whole storyline going, and then they had the DUI, and it completely, all of a sudden they showed up on the show. Everyone was happy-go-lucky. Like, we're not mad at each other anymore. There's no beef. I'm not trying to steal my brother back. We're good. We're good. And it was so the Usos aren't going anywhere, or they shouldn't go anywhere yet.
Yes, the infamous, you had a DUI.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a title.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I mean, it is. I mean, I don't know what happened, but anyway.
I don't know. But I think
I don't see them going anywhere.
No, I don't see them going anywhere either. But I was going to say, I am getting a little hungry here.
Yeah, I am too. I didn't realize we were going to be on for 90 minutes, but the chat was rolling.
Yeah.
So at that point, I think, to your point, we should get a snack, because, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, we will be back here tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and or Eastern Time, I think now, because
I think it's Eastern Time, yeah, because it's 7 here for Central.
Yes. So 8 p.m. we will be back. We have SmackDown, we have Rampage, and
we have the news coming up in just like an hour or so.
That's it. I've delayed the news, so our daily news report will be out. If you haven't seen us yet, check us out. Like, subscribe, hit the little bell, as LJ always says. And hopefully you like this little chit-chat and this random impromptu Friday afternoon Wait,
We
you
got
got
to bring you the breaking news when breaking news happens. No Rock at Mania. I would hope at Survivor Series or Rumble, perhaps.
yeah.
I don't know. I just know Rock showing up when Mania hits Hollywood, and that's all
That's it.
I know.
Well, I mean, he could come out. He could be here very soon, just to at least hype it up. We'll see how it goes, but
Yes.
I definitely see that starting sooner than later. And yeah, you probably see him around some of those events for sure. CJ, I can see The Rock giving the promo. Help. Yeah, exactly. I think that's what they're going to play on. I think it's going to be the arrogant, head of the table that just took what he thought, and he's about to be reminded that there was a king before him. And though I do think Roman eventually puts him down, because obviously he has to.
And as far as I know, in movie news, I haven't seen, or because I want to say The Rock just finished shooting stuff for Black Adam, or is just finishing up, like, into the last act of Black Adam. Everyone on Twitter saying AEW confirmed.
Right?
I don't think so. I think his family would disown him.
Yeah, I think he's a big fan of the
I think we're more likely to get Shane McMahon on AEW television
I'm
than
so down for
Triple
that.
H.
I'm so down for that.
But I just mean, like, I don't think that's
I just think there's too much. There's too much of a nest egg. You're kind of involved with one of the richest people kicking. So why would you mess that up? Yeah, and
But
people
yes,
say
I
all the
do-
time, "Well,
yeah.
Triple H has money. He doesn't have that money."
No, he don't have that money, so no. But yes, the Rock is not. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure he's either finished filming or just finishing up filming stuff for Black Adam.
Yeah.
But it's Marvel, so they could totally be calling him in for reshoots for months.
He's gonna be busy for a little bit for sure.
He has time, but he probably is going to take that 6 months off just to be dedicated to the wrestling, because he doesn't. I know movie companies don't want them to get injured while wrestling, because then they can't come back and shoot the movie. So
that's it. I mean, he'll be fine. He's a big boy. He'll keep going.
Hey, he's probably going to show up in Hollywood at the same time Black Adam is going to be coming out in theaters. There's a very good chance.
Then he's always that's always the case. Every time someone has something to promote, they show up, and that's what they're supposed to do.
The Rock had an egg to do, and he didn't show up.
That's true, but that's because he sent the egg instead of himself, because he was like, "Screw this." It's a Netflix movie. I'm not showing up. You can promote it yourself.
This is a Marvel movie. I have to show up. Yeah.
Right. Last question before we log off and get a snack before we're back here for the news, and then back here for a 2-hour, 3-hour watch along tonight. I think Solo will definitely be involved in WrestleMania. The only reason I debate that one is they named him Solo, so it'd be really stupid if he joined a group. So I figured when they named him Solo, it was to point out that he's all by himself. And he's
they're probably just Solo, but he'll show up and be like, "I'm no longer Solo Sokoa. I'm Sokoa family."
I'm social Sokoa now.
Social Sokoa. Exactly.
Well, folks, thank you for being here. LJ, thank you for joining me on a surprise, a little pop alert. Triple H, one of the best that ever did it. My favorite of all time, the game, the king of kings, the exec, the brain, the mastermind behind so much.
Thank you to Triple H. It's invisible again.
There you go. Thank you to Triple H for all that he's done, all the entertainment value, in and out of the ring. Thank you for everything, sir. We are huge fans. We're gonna miss him. We have missed him, and go to AEW, mix things up a little. But for now, that is all we have to say. Triple H has retired. He is gone. We are not gone. We are not retired. We will be back. And until then, we will see you on the flip side. Bye for now.